Good day, everyone. Welcome back to this special edition of Generally Irritable Live. We've got a fun guest today for you guys. Her name is Jennifer Kabbany, and she's the editor from The College Fix. It's an online publication that particularly focuses on the nonsense going on college campuses. And, we talk a lot on this show about wokeism as a religion, and all of the kind of crazy nonsense we're seeing on campus. But we don't always fully realize the consequences of that kind of rhetoric. And then what then is allowed behind the scenes in those colleges. So I don't know, some of you may have been hearing about the number of Chinese nationals that have been discovered, or basically like Chinese government officials or spies in universities working on research projects and things like that. So we've got The College Fix actually looking into and uncovering, researching, doing journalism on that kind of range of topics. And what I really love about my guest today in particular, I asked her, I said, what is it about college students? Why college students? Why do you feel so passionate? You've got a history of working as an editor, working in journalism, looking to uncover the truth, being part of the community. Why now? Why the universities? And her answer was to me the most important answer that she could have given me, which is the universities are educating our next generation. And the schools education, they're educating our next generations. And if we cede that ground to people who hate us, who hate themselves, who hate this country, we really will lose the beautiful American experiment that we have. So that was me kind of paraphrasing her words there, but without too much waiting, you guys, because we're gonna do a little brief 30-minute interview or so with Miss Jennifer Kabbany. Without further ado, thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us today.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Okay. So when you think about your job as editor of The College Fix, when you're thinking about what stories to cover, how you're leading the other journalists, the voice of the publication, what are some of the priorities you're keeping in the back of your mind as you look to educate us, the public, about what's going on campuses?
Well, we serve as the canary in the coal mine to warn parents, watchdogs, lawmakers, and everybody who cares about the future of our country, what is going on these college campuses. What are they teaching? What's the curriculum? What are they spending our tax dollars on? How are they stifling free speech, academic inquiry? And these are the kind of things that are vital on a college campus to thrive and to be able to share ideas and debate and have civil discourse. So we're covering cancel culture, microaggressions, toxic masculinity, the lack of due process, and all those hot button topics you've probably seen about in the headlines.
Well, and isn't one of the qualities of becoming a functional adult, learning how to cope with disappointment, hurt feelings, failure, as an example, things like that? Why do you think our educational system is trying to shield people from the natural progress of becoming a person?
That is a very deep philosophical question. Wow. I mean, I don't know if I have a perfect answer for that, but they are wrapping these kids in bubble wrap, giving them safe spaces, helicopter parenting, participation trophy. It's been called by some people the coddling of the American mind, but they're making us wimps. Right?
Yes.
I mean, we cannot. They were definitely not the greatest generation, like the young 18-year-olds that
Oh
stormed the
my
beaches of
goodness.
Normandy.
I'm telling you, today's college kids are definitely not storming the beaches of Normandy.
Because if you look at a kid funny on a college campus, they might report you to the bias response team for a microaggression.
Oh my God. Okay. So we're okay. So now when we're looking at, first of all, let me just show everybody how nice
you know what? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I do have a thought.
Oh yeah. Tell me.
Wimps are easier to control, right?
Oh.
If you have a childish, kind of scared kid, that would be easier to control on the campus and in life in general.
Isn't that
so?
The truth?
Maybe their motivation from a psychological level is control.
Well, when we're looking at as an example the Chinese influence on our college campuses, when we're hearing our elected officials, Canadian elected officials, sort of elevate the Chinese model as being preferable to ours, that definitely makes some sense. We want people who will more likely go along with this transition that we want.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to control the masses when they're scared of their own shadow. I suppose even the the Venn diagram, to borrow a term from Kamala, the Venn diagram.
I love Venn diagrams.
Keeping American people scared of their own shadows includes telling them they can't handle insults or challenging ideas or whatever.
Yes. And, yeah, you are totally nailing it. Isn't that the truth? That's one of the things that I have found so frustrating about some of these conversations is, wow, you really don't think much of human beings and our capacity to overcome, for resilience, for critical thinking and innovation. And, as if we don't have a millennia of evidence to show us that we can overcome these things, that we can be better. We can adapt and evolve.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we have to remind our young people is they can speak up in the college classroom when their liberal professor or their progressive peers tries to shut them down or shout them down. We have to encourage our young people to take a stand, to know they have a right to defend themselves and the principles that they stand for, and that they're just as much a right to speak up on campus as anybody else on that tables or host events or host meetings or brings in guest speakers. Unfortunately, what the College Fix is often covering is the conservative and libertarian students are shouted down. Their events, they refuse to fund their events. They're called all sorts of names. They're reported to campus authorities. We just had a thing covering at Stanford. Matt Walsh spoke. The kids actually set his flyers advertising an event on fire. Literally set them on fire, and they were so proud of it. They posted the pictures of the flaming flyers on the internet.
Well, and what's so fascinating to me is that they can say that words are, when I say they, the left, right? The left says words are violence. The left also says that silence is violence. But when they do actual violence, like lighting people's stuff on fire, they don't see a correlation. They don't see that they are actually contributing to the toxicity and to the what's the right word I'm looking for? Like the tension level increasing. So if I don't say anything, I'm being violent towards you, but you can set my stuff on fire.
It's an absolute no-win situation. I mean, and that's what we have to realize. Like, you can't bargain with that mindset. You can't find a middle ground or compromise. I mean, there's literally no win until you basically agree with them 100%.
Well, and it's the Kobayashi Maru. Okay, so sorry, Star Trek nerd reference. Okay,
I know the Kobayashi Maru.
Oh, okay. So basically, there's no winning. You can't win. It is set up to fail no matter what you do because, right? Oh, wait, if it's okay. So wait, no, you're a white supremacist, but you're a racist, but if you say you're not a racist, that identifies you're a racist.
100%. Like on campus, in these white privilege trainings, you're automatically a racist if you have white skin, whether you know it or not, like it or not. Basically, you're told that you have unconscious bias and that you're a racist. But then if you don't admit you're a racist, you're also a racist. So it's a very serious catch-22 folks with light skin find themselves on campuses.
Right. So I love the fact, I want to share this. I want to show everybody, this is your main home, I think this is the homepage. Yes. So everybody check out this main screen, right? You got the homepage, you've got great, stories on the first page. First of all, I don't know if you realize this, Jennifer, this FTX scandal actually affected Vermont elections directly. Our congressional candidate who won, Becca Ballant, actually received $1 million from FTX, in addition to all of them making personal contributions to her campaign as well. So, but if you said anything about it, you were homophobic and transphobic because it was funneled through a LGBTQ PAC.
There's that catch-22 again.
You see? You do something wrong, we call you on it. We're still going to call you names. But I want to point out this one thing, if it's okay, particularly. It's not a specific news article, but this was the thing that I thought was so cool. That you are working with it's veteran journalists working with young journalists to learn basically how to defend themselves and to fight back against this woke cancel culture stuff.
So in our particular case, what we do is we teach college students, undergrads, how to be straight news journalists so they can report in a dispassionate, unbiased manner what's going on the college campuses. So you could say that subjectivity for us is not necessarily in how we report the news, but what we see as newsworthy. And so we teach the kids to get the who, what, where, when, and why, quote both sides. And then again, as I mentioned, we're the canary in the coal mine to serve as a warning to parents and students and watchdogs and educators. This is what's going on in the college campuses. And then these students that we work with, these undergrads, we launch their media careers and offer them paid journalism internships and really sort of help raise up the next generation of liberty-minded, independent, unbiased reporters.
Oh my God, we need that. This was the thing that my husband and I talk about, and I hear often is, I don't need you to make up my mind for me. I just need the facts. And I can figure these things out on my own. And it is so frustrating. I think once you kind of awaken to the dishonesty of traditional media, you go, oh my God, I didn't realize I was being lied to this whole time. And then you question everything. And now for me, it's so obvious when I'm being sold. That's what I call it, right? You're not giving me the news. You're trying to sell me on your perspective on the news.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we tell the undergrads we work with. It's okay to quote the professor and the school spokesperson and to get everybody's side and let the reader decide what they think of it. Again, the subjectivity is what we see as news. So we might cover, well, for example, the top story on our College Fix website today, I wrote, and it's about these progressive left-leaning students who actually wrote a bunch of LGBTQ slurs on their college campus to make a point that there shouldn't be free speech.
So it
was like a false flag hate crime hoax operation, because they were like, well, we shouldn't be allowed to say it, but we're going to say it just to prove our point.
Wow.
And I had looked, when I was writing this article yesterday, I had looked on the MIT student newspaper, and they didn't cover it at all. And so this is just an example of, we're covering the stories that are important that need to be told that a lot of time the campus newspapers completely ignore, and as well as the legacy media.
Yep. And forgive me, Jennifer, I don't remember if you said it just now or if I heard somebody say this recently. It's what they don't cover that is as telling as what they do cover.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the subjectivity is in what you cover.
Yes.
And so a lot of times, we are going to be telling the stories you're not going to get anywhere else. And frankly, a lot of the center right news outlets tell the stories that the left never hears in their own echo chamber, which unfortunately they definitely need to hear, but they never do. So.
That's one of the things that I think is so interesting to me when we're looking at the media landscape generally, is how is it possible that I know this stuff and I'm hearing it, and I even listen to left-wing publications on purpose because I want to hear what they're saying, right? How is it these people are not covering this or hearing this at all, and we're covering it? And it seems almost sometimes like there's very little overlap. It's like there is the right and the left media, and they are siloed, and then everybody else in the middle is just kind of left being like, can we just get some facts over here?
Erica, that's a really big problem. And I don't entirely know the solution to that, because both the left and the right, I think, are in their own echo chambers, especially now how everybody gets their media so much from scrolling through their social media feed. Is how they're getting a lot of their news, and their Facebook feeds, or maybe whatever email list they've signed up for, and they're not really getting the full picture. I also follow left-leaning media because I want to know what's going on and get the big picture, but not enough people do. And so these echo chambers, I think, are making our country more divisive, dividing us even further. I think we actually have a lot more common ground with some left-leaning folks than we realize, if we could just get together and talk and hash things out like rational, normal people with common sense. But I don't see any of that happening anytime soon, unfortunately.
Well, I'll tell you, this was my favorite. I share this example all the time. I'm going to have another one soon so that I can tell another story, Jennifer. But one of my favorite things I've watched in a long time was an interview on Tucker Carlson today with Jimmy Dore. So I'm sure you're familiar with both of who both of those fellows are. But Tucker Carlson, obviously a right-wing news commentator, Jimmy Dore, a far-left news commentator. And what I saw was two men agree on 85% of things, disagree on about 15%. They agree that the problems are the same. We often agree that the problems are the same. We often even agree on the solution. We just disagree on who's responsible and how to get there.
Yeah. I think that's another way that the powers that be control us, if you will, by making us think that we have nothing in common with the folks across the political aisle from us, and that they're our sworn enemy, when in fact we're all Americans working together, basically have sincere desire to improve our country, and we could probably find more common ground than we realize if we just tried.
If we didn't have to go to our safe space every time our feelings were hurt.
Well, I don't think, what's interesting is a lot of times we joke about the safe spaces and, these kids that need coloring books and a nap pod. But to be honest, we call them cry bullies. Yeah. Because how scared are they really when they're out yelling in administrators' faces and yelling at their peers' faces and, demanding this and demanding that and taking over the campus and, holding these, big protests and setting fires to things. And so, yeah, they need their safe space, but they're also like kicking everybody's butt on campus and, taking over. So
my
gosh, bullies.
I love that. I'm totally going to steal that and use that because it is so true.
I think I got it from somebody else too. So
even my husband has said stuff like that before. Like, my husband, Black American, he says, I keep hearing Black people say that they're hunted daily and that the cops are trying to kill them. But I'm not seeing a bunch of people running around, strapped with a flak jacket on. Your women say that it's a rape culture and everybody's trying to rape them, yet they're running around drunk with their ass out, twerking on 6th Street. Like, these two things they don't go together. You can't tell me it's rape culture and you're afraid of being raped and run around literally in your underwear, sex dancing in the street.
Well, that was, there's this often repeated stat that 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 college women are raped, but that was actually pretty thoroughly debunked.
Yes.
It was based on a study of just 2 Midwestern colleges, and the questions were somewhat vague. And when you kind of dug down into it, there's no way that sample size was representative of America, and there's no way that the questions and the answers they derived were representative of actual rape. So the 1 in 4, the 1 in 5 thing has been thoroughly debunked. But again, there's that fear, there's that control, there's that you better let us protect you. And then you mentioned your husband's a Black American. It reminds me of, I don't know if you've heard of the MAGA Hulk guy. He's Stephen Davis. He's a MAGA Hulk guy.
Oh, yeah. We saw him at America Fest. Yes.
Okay. So, he, as part of Turning Point USA, he'll go to college campuses and, share conservative ideas. And you got these whiny liberal 90-pound-year-old snot-nosed Antifa kids trying to, shut down this Black conservative American, telling him he's racist. And you're like, what is going on with this planet? Are we like living in opposite world right now? Like,
yes,
you 19-year-old, skinny white punk kid trying to tell this, this strong American Black man that, he's the racist.
Yes. I mean, we
sometimes
literally
I just wonder if we're even in reality anymore.
This is what, how did we get to the point where it was okay for white people to yell racial slurs at Black people and it be okay?
I hate that it's okay to call Black conservatives names, to make fun of them, to impugn their character. I mean, that is just so wrong.
If there's,
and it's one of the biggest problems I have with the left.
Yeah,
is they're actually showing their own racism, I think, when they do that.
That's why I'm like, I don't know what else needs to be said or done to demonstrate that people on that side, and here I am using that divisive language, that people who buy into that ideology, oh my goodness, my brain hurts. I'm like, I just don't, what has to happen in your brain that you're like, racism is so bad, I'm going to call you an N-word or whatever else I got to call you. You just get, I don't think your way of thinking about things is good.
Well, the left likes to twist things. And unfortunately, that's what's happening in college campuses a lot. They'll only give these students one side of the story. They'll only assign them curriculum that tells one side of the story.
Yeah.
For example, the whole 1619 project and the idea that America was founded on slavery and founded on racism, which is not only inaccurate, but it's just one sliver of the giant, enormous story of the American experiment. But they zero in and hone in on that, beat it over these kids' head time and time again. It's almost like death by 1,000 cuts. By the time these kids graduate, they do believe that America was founded on slavery and racism. And so that's why we have to sound the alarm. We publish these stories letting everybody know what the professors are saying and teaching so that we can correct it, and that parents can when they send their kids to college, make sure that they've had these discussions beforehand. Say, if your professor says this, I want to tell you X, Y, and Z. So they're armed with the facts and the data and the logic to discern these poor arguments and defend against them.
That's right. Sue, friend of the channel, Sue Seymour says, I need to go to my safe space right now. We love Sue's. She's just coming. She's recovering from a terrible accident. Sue's super excited, hoping to see you at the end of March for your welcome back party. We can't wait. Now, before I forget, Jennifer, I want to show everybody they can support the College Fix. So you got the donate page right here. They can subscribe.
I would love for folks to sign up for our newsletter, because we only send it twice a month. You know how sometimes you sign up for a newsletter and next thing you know, you're getting 20 emails a day from them?
A day, yes.
And you're like, what have I done? I send 2 a week. I try to pull the best articles from our website from the week. And so you can go ahead and sign up. And
all right, look at that.
We had to do that because
easy.
We had to do the little CAPTCHA thing, because you know how people try to, and every time you have a conservative website, there's somebody on the left trying to spam you or this or that. So we had to set in a couple of parameters. And then of course, we're a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. As I mentioned, we do journalism internships, and we're training young people how to be independent journalists. So we always welcome donations as well.
I love it. All right, you guys. So here we go. Subscribe, donate. This has been my big thing. and it always sort of feels like the tithing conversation at church, right? Like everybody gets a little bit uncomfortable. Can't talk about money. What is so fascinating to me is that when you look at data, when we look at statistics, people who are right of center, right, whether it's conservative, fiscally, religiously, whatever it is, those of us who are right of center give way more money to charity. And I mean, it is not even close. We give tens of millions of dollars more than left-wing Democrat people do. And yet we have a much harder time raising money. We have a much harder time getting people to contribute to channels, to advertise, to sign up for recurring donations. This is the story that I'm hearing about over and over again, is it is hard to raise money. The churches are low on funds even. So you guys, the left is willing to put their money where their mouth is. The left is willing to donate money to Planned Parenthood so that we can have abortion up to the point of birth in Vermont. The left is willing to donate as much money. In fact, they created a whole Ponzi scheme to be able to donate to Democrat candidates. You guys have to be as willing to put your money where your mouth is and lift up publications like the College Fix, like the Vermont Daily Chronicle in Vermont. Jennifer, what do you think would encourage people that are kind of on our team, our viewers, our listeners, to contribute more, whether it's financially, whether it's, sharing more media, sharing the stories, getting things like that? What do you think we can do to help encourage other folks to be more vocal about their support for conservative values?
So, I tithe at my church, and then I also have been subscribing to independent journalism Substacks. And I jokingly call it my secular tithing, right? So I give to my church, but I have this list of secular tithing that I do that I feel is helping, ultimately advance truth, freedom, principles enshrined in our God-blessed Constitution. So that's the way I would look at it, is that, I obviously give to your church, give to, orphanages and charities that touch your heart and mind, but maybe consider like secular tithing for causes that you feel are really important to help defend this great nation that was founded under God. One of my favorite verses not one of my favorite, but one thing I think about when I tithe is when Jesus said, "Do not store up yourself treasures on earth where moth and vermin destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasure in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys." So that's one of the things. It's just, God loves a cheerful giver, and we're fighting a good fight here. So, if you can afford it, obviously things are tight under Biden. I mean, eggs and gas and everything under Biden is so much more expensive. He's one of the worst presidents we've ever had in this nation's history.
Yep.
I mean, if not the worst, but
not the worst.
There's debate, but he's so bad. So I know money is tight for everybody right now, but just consider it like a secular tithe to help fight the good fight for the heart and soul and mind of this nation.
Yep. That's what we've been doing. A lot of commentators, a lot of content creators we like. It's a couple bucks a month to subscribe to their YouTube channel or to do something like that. You guys, it is worth every penny, because every penny that you guys contribute back into conservative values, you will get back in a better educated public, in happier people, less suicidality. Like, you guys, let's real talk. They're talking about how if you don't trans your kid, they're going to kill themselves. Well, if we don't give some guardrails to the next generation, they are going to lose it. We need to help them understand who they are, what their values are, and so that they don't get to that point. And every dollar you spend helps fight against that nonsense. So
to end on a positive note, the young people that I'm working with, they are bright and talented and driven. So there is hope. I mean, I know sometimes it looks grim when you turn on the news or you check your headlines, but there are people still raising their children with conservative liberty-minded values, and there's a young generation that still wants to grow up in the America that we grew up in.
Yeah.
And so we can't throw in the towel. We can't give up. We have to do this for our children and our grandchildren.
Yep, that's what they already told us, right? The founders told us we're going to have to fight for this every generation. Yep. And so we just have to cultivate the fighters. That's it. Let's do it. We're doing it. Jennifer's doing it over at the College Fix. Sue says she's already picking her outfit to twerk on 6th Street next time she comes to Austin. Sue, this is why I love you. This is why you're fabulous. So again, Jennifer Kabbany, I'm saying it right? Kabbany.
You're saying it right.
Kabbany. Yep. Jennifer Kabbany with the College Fix. Thank you so much for joining us on Generally Irritable today. Letting our folks know a little bit about what you do, and we're going to be sending them your way to donate to you, to read more, and to share.
Thank you very much. If you could even do one thing is share one of our articles, that would just make my day.
Yeah. You know what? We're going to include links in the description, Jennifer, but why don't you just tell everybody, where can they find you guys on social media?
So we're at College Fix on Twitter and thecollegefix.com on Facebook. And we actually have a really, active Instagram account as well.
Yep. And thecollegefix.com is their website. Y'all go ahead and give them a follow. Check them out.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, Jennifer.
Take care.